Hey everyone, Coach Lori here on another episode of Conversation with Courageous Cancer Warriors. And today we have a Bossbabe powerhouse that I'm really excited about. She is the owner of the 365 Daily Hustle. She's a health and wellness expert, a certified life, health, and mindset coach. And if that is not enough, she is also a speaker and an author. I would really like to welcome Miss Karissa Williams. How are you, Karissa?
Hi, Lori. I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for being here. I am very excited about this conversation. So let's just jump right into it. Now, talk to me about your health journey. And, you mentioned that your mom was also a cancer warrior. So talk to me a little bit about how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. So as someone who has experienced lots of childhood trauma and teenage BS, I didn't quite heal properly, kind of coming out of a very abusive relationship, a lot of, like I said, childhood trauma from the get-go. And so when I met my husband, I just got super comfortable. I got super, I just want to be the best version the best version for everybody else except for me, right? So I wanted to be the best mom. I wanted to be the best daughter. I wanted to be the best employee. And I just forgot to take care of myself over all those years. And in a 4-year period, I went from 120 to 213 pounds very quickly because I hadn't taken the time to heal all the inside wounds, right? I just kind of stuffed them down and I turned to food and cigarettes and booze and honestly work to get me through it. So there I was overweight, embarrassed, and very much ashamed of my body. It was starting to take a toll on my marriage. I hated the person that I saw in the mirror every day. In fact, I was I was not my cheerleader. I was a disempowering coach. I'm like, look how fat you are. You'll never be enough. Who would love you? Like just the inner talk even that can take over our mindset when we're not in a good place, when we're not in a happy place. So yeah,
sorry to interrupt, but that is so key because as many cancer patients, as they undergo treatment, the body dysphoria that happens, like the problematic, loving your body the way that it is now as opposed to what it was. Like for myself, having gone through a double mastectomy, I'm still traumatized, and it's something 3 years later I'm still dealing with. So I can understand what you went through, and how did you, I'd love to hear, where did you go from that? Right? 'Cause it's so hard to get out of.
It is. And so I think it takes a hard place for you to boss up, and it takes a hard place. It takes pain as motive, to get you, to the other side. So pain can either keep you stuck or pain can keep you just motivate you like nobody's business. So there I was in Germany stationed with my family, and I was sitting in a doctor's office. And I was told that for my height and weight, I'm 5 foot and I'm 213. I was very much in the obese category. In fact, the doctor looked at me and she said, Karissa, if you don't make some major life changes now, you're going to be heading down a very, very scary path, right? You're 26, not going to be good for you later on. And you would think that would almost be my spark, right? The conversation that I needed to hear. This girl was very, she was blunt, she was honest, and she told me the truth, which not a lot of people will do anymore. They're just afraid to maybe hurt feelings and to bring you down. So they want to lift you up. That's totally positive intention. But hers was, she wanted to be honest. She knew that it would take a life-changing moment. And that day I got home and I smoked a pack of cigarettes. I huffed and puffed my afternoon away because I was mad. I was like, wow, I know I'm overweight. I know I'm not happy in my body. I know that I'm not setting a good example for my kids. But why would you call someone out? I was sad and upset and hurt. And so, you think when, I used to deal with my pain that I'll just go to bed and then the next day I'll wake up and everything will be okay. I'll just push it down, I'll shove more food down, and I'll cope in however way I know how to cope. But turns out, when you have a great aha moment in a doctor's office, you don't really wake up the same. When life's changed, you just know it, you've been hit. So I didn't quite know like what that feeling was, but I got up. I was a mom. I have well, it's crazy. I have a 19-year-old now, but he was 11 at the time. And I walked him to the bus stop. I stopped by my friend Jamie's house for the daily gossip. Like, we smoked our 8 cigarettes that morning and drank at least 2 pots of coffee. But the big moment is when I got back home. I sat on the couch and I looked at a picture of my mom. And for the first time in my entire life, I saw how heavy she was. I saw all 315 pounds. I saw her battle with cancer. I saw her diabetes. I saw the quality of life, or that lack of. Like, it all just kind of hit me, and I grew up with a very heavy mom. And for the last 10 years, I mean, I was pregnant with my son when she was first diagnosed with breast cancer. And I remember not only having to take care of my son, but I felt obligated as a daughter, as the only one that could honestly put up with the puking and the sickness and the IVs and the doctor visits and the baldness, like everything. I'm the strong sibling, I guess, if you want to put it like that. I've always had that boss up mentality. And so I wanted to take care of her. I wanted to be taking care of my son. And it hit, right? I saw her and I cried and I was like, dang it, Karissa, you need to rise up. You need to change your standards. You need to live a better life, or 10 years down the road, I'm going to be dealing with cancer. I'm going to be dealing with everything that my mom was going through. And that was the boss up moment. I was like, nope, not me, not today. I'm going to beat that. I was young and I was so scared of watching my mom, who was 44 when she was first diagnosed, to go through all of that. I was like, I don't want that. I do not want that for me.
And so what was the first thing that you did?
Well, the first thing I did, I said, okay, I don't know anything about losing weight, but because I've been a gymnast as a child, so I was athletic. I've never had to like work for it. And in fact, I didn't even know how I really got there at the time. But I said, okay, what do I know about losing weight? I know that I need to eat probably less, because I was eating 2-3 helpings and making up ridiculous stories in my head to justify how many helpings I had just had. And I said, I need to move my body. And I need energy, and I know that both food and movement will give me energy. I remember that from being, my gymnastics days. Coach said, eat for the body that you need and move the body, that what we need for it to perform. And so I was like, okay, food, working out. Okay. I was like, that's all very scary because I know nothing. What else do I need? I said, I need accountability and I need a tribe. I cannot do it alone. And I recognize that at 26. So thank God I recognize that at 26, because that's been huge. My tribe is big for me. But so I went to the neighbors and I said, listen, ladies, we sit here and gossip every day about how we hate our bodies and our lives are miserable and we're so stressed out and blah, 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 blah. I said, how about we make a change? Like, how about you watch my kids? I'll watch your kids. Again, we're single mamas pretty much. Our husbands are deployed all the time. We need help. And then I also called my mom, and the best thing about when your mom is your best friend and you've kind of gone through all of her crappy moments and you've seen her worst self ever, is that that you can be, like, you can get yelled at, you can have crucial conversations, and then you can be like, okay, let's love each other because we're mom and daughter. So I knew I needed some like tough love. Like, girl, you said you were going to do this today because you don't want to go through what I'm going through. You better do the dang thing and get up today. So I knew I needed accountability from a tough love person. So that's kind of where, that started, was move my body and eat a little cleaner.
Wow, that's really great. And so it's tough though. Like you said, if it's not your routine yet, you're like, how do I even start? So the fact that you knew you needed to reach out to your tribe was amazing.
It was huge. Yeah.
But you had to have moments where you're like, what the hell am I doing? How do I keep doing this? Like, what was your motivation outside of your mom, which is a huge motivation, right? And you were also athletic growing up, but part of what happens is the journey isn't a quick one. It's a marathon, not a sprint, right? So what were some of the things that you said to yourself? How did you keep that positive mindset for you?
Okay. So at the time it was not very it was not very positive. Okay. I have shifted over the years. I will just say this might not have been the best way to go about it, but my boyfriend always says, no matter whatever gets you to climb the hill, he's military.
Yeah.
Whatever gets you to the hill, you get it done. Right. So I'm going to own it. So, there were days that I felt like going back to binge eating.
Yeah.
There were days I didn't want to go to the gym and I was tired and I could have listened to the inner voice. There were plenty of days that when I was in the gym, I was completely covered head to toe. I didn't even feel like I belonged in there. I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. And at the time, 10 minutes on the elliptical felt like a marathon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God, I'm a smoker. I'm a heavy smoker. Like, this is terrible. Who does this? This is torture. But the motivation that I created for myself was I knew I needed to find something to anchor my why. My why, I wanted to live my best life. I wanted energy. I wanted to be there for my kids. I wanted, my mom will not ever see my daughter, like graduate or get married or all of those amazing memories that moms and grandmas want to be a part of. And so that was definitely a huge part of my motivation. But at the time, I thought, okay, I need to create some anchors. And anchors for me are like little post-it notes or pictures or things that when I see it, I can create the story that is just so powerful and so real and raw that's going to kick my own butt back into shape. Okay. So at the time, I found a couple of images of my mom being very heavy. I found a couple of images. I went to a magazine and I ripped out the largest woman that I could find. And the reason why I say it's not the healthiest is because I was using the painful moments to motivate me versus like nice pictures. But at the time at 213, I was so ashamed. I was closer to 300 pounds than I was, prior to meeting my husband. And I honestly would have I couldn't even imagine what I would have looked like now at 128, like a healthy, solid 128, 130. So instead, I knew what I didn't want to look like. I knew what that image of this very large woman, I knew Barbie was not in the cards for me, and I knew what was, and if I kept heading down. So that's what I did, and I posted it in the car so that when I wanted to eat something for convenience, I would be like, ooh, no, that lady, that works for that lady, doesn't work for me. I posted it in my bathroom. I started talking to myself and pound by pound, and trust me, I thought losing weight was going to fix everything in my life. Different story, different time. I was like, if I could get to 200, I'll be so happy. If I could get to 180, maybe my marriage will get better. Like if I can get to 160, and then it almost became a compulsive order on how I can manipulate my body so that I can be happy. And I realized just a couple of years ago that it doesn't matter what I look like until that inside hurt was healed. I was never going to be happy and I was never going to love myself. So longest story to get to what motivated you, but I feel like you have to create motivation, whether it's a Post-it, whether it's your kid's picture, whether it's a bracelet that means something to you, and you have to create the story that's so powerful that reminds you of your why, so that no matter what happens, you can hit the reset and you can get back to going. You can boss up.
Absolutely. And, for me, it's ironic because I didn't think of it that way at the time, but my nephew, he's just such a love, ended up sending me a bracelet that said strength on it. And it was like the cutest thing. And I was like, oh my God, thank you for thinking of me. Like, that's amazing. And it's 3 years later, it's beat to hell. And I still have it on every day. And at the time, I didn't realize that was my anchor.
Right.
I mean, right. And so that's the other thing too, is sometimes people don't realize what's supporting you until somebody points it out. So that's amazing. And, what I love about it is that even though in a twisted way you were using the pain, right, to motivate you, and pain is a great motivation, right? It's I will never do that again. I will never allow that again. And we also learned that sometimes there's a more positive approach to do that, but pain itself is a great motivator. And so many people live in I don't want to get cancer. I don't want to go through chemo again. I don't want to ever have that experience again.
Yeah.
And to be able to sit there and have that be the fuel sometimes is really okay.
It truly is. And when I work with clients, it's like, it's not what works for me, girl. Like, we need to find what works for you because it's your why. I struggle with I was abused a lot with my son's dad, and I struggle finding that I'm even enough. And so I always wear my I am enough bracelet, and this bracelet's full of essential oils, but it reminds me of like the lotus flower that has to get through all the crappy crap just to get to the top and bloom. And it's crucial. So I don't care what you need to do to get you out of that funk, because I think that journey alone, right? Like it wasn't the weight. Eventually, like I realized what health is, and it's love, and it's enjoying life, and it's showing up with energy. There's so much more than just the scale. And I've never even stepped on a scale in 4 years. Like I'm just like, it's so nice to know that I've built habits. And I'm a master of habit change. It's what I love coaching on. But I've built habits that are going to back me up just as big as the universe, so that when big things like a pandemic happens, I don't have to worry about like binge eating again, or, like the feelings that I'm going to feel with all that, the scarcity and the mindset. So I've built habits, around moving my body, and not just for the fitness or to the aesthetic side. I'm like, man, that is therapy on some days.
Yeah.
Why is it important to feed my body good fuel, and, and do whatever I can? And stress is huge.
Huge.
We share a similar story with stress.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, and I didn't realize it at the time, right? Like when you are in the weeds and you're just going through life, you don't realize the impact on you until somebody is like, hey, aren't you, like, isn't it enough? If somebody points it out, and sometimes you don't want to hear it, right? Like I used to have tons of people tell me like, Lori, you should really work less. You should care less about what you're doing. Like you don't need to save everybody. It's not all on you, right? Like and it's like, no, these are my people. So to kind of let you know, like I was running multiple labs in a academic hospital, and I felt responsibility to my people, right? To my staff. I felt responsibility to, the department. I felt responsibility for the patients, that we would provide the best care possible. And I carried that, and it was a personal thing. And at the time I didn't realize what I was doing to myself, like that I named one of my 4 tumors like that. Like I had the biggest tumor that I had was like, yep, that was that academic center. That's what was happening. So, and then you wrote a book about your experiences. I would love to talk about that. So how did that come about? Like, what do you, talk to me.
How do you just think about, no. So just imagine this, like day 5 of the pandemic, everyone's kind of shut down, like many of us, we went into not only, well, for me, it was coach mode, speaker mode, mom mode. Now I'm personal trainer mode in my own house again, like leading free workouts. And now I'm the personal chef and the educator, and I'm wearing so many hats. And in the middle of that, on my schedule, a lady, name pops up, and it's Tam, and she's booked a strategy call with me, which is what I call my coaching session, to really see if we're going to jive well with together and talk about goals and stuff. And so I'm thinking she's calling me, or I'm going to call her to possibly work with her as a client. And she flips it around, and Tam says, hey girl, hey, I've read your story. I love what you're doing. I want to know, tell me a little bit more about how you bossed up. And I literally told her for about 30 minutes of my story, from the childhood, moments of fearing for my life, to that abuse, and when was enough. And I mean, and the moments I've even gone into, it's like I almost ended my life over that season that I was in. So every which story that I told her, she's like, you are exactly what we're looking for. Like you are the woman who, when it comes down to it, you're either going to stay stuck in the rut, you're going to let life happen to you, or you're going to boss up. And you, my friend, are a boss babe. And I'm like, that's my title. Like I'm a boss babe and creator. And she's like, I know, it's perfect. So Women Who Boss Up is, it actually profiles several women who have broken the mold to achieve, overcome difficult situations, and or inspire change through relentless endeavors. And I just want to point that out. Like, I think you need to be relentless after, like, in living your best life. Like every day, I think you should show up and be like, how can I be the best version of me? So we come from all across the globe, right? Diverse walks of life, various disciplines like STEM, healthcare, we've got finance, we've got coaches, we've got nonprofits. But Women Who Boss Up is just a welcome companion to any boss or boss in the making. So when she kind of told me a little bit about her vision with this book, I was like, heck yeah. Like my whole mission in life is to motivate, educate, and inspire women how to boss up and live their best life. Like I think the universe is bringing us together for a reason. So yes, that's exactly what the book is, and it's going to be amazing. It releases and hits Amazon in August of 2020, and then that is, you will have, you know, the chance to get the digital version, but also the book. So I'm so excited to be able to boss up and help, like, let these stories empower women to be like, wow, if she can do it and get through it, I can do it. Because we all come from different walks of life. We all get different struggles. And that's the beauty of it. I think our story, so many people let your story define you. Yeah. And I think it empowers me. I'm like, oof. Like even from just a couple months ago being diagnosed with Hashimoto's, I'm like, okay, I could have been like, why God, why me? And instead I'm like, okay, I'm going to use this and I'm going to teach other women how to build habits that support living a life with an autoimmune disease, you know? So again, boss up moments, we're filled with them. We just have to step into that power and do it. And it's an honor to be a part of this book.
Oh, I absolutely love that. And you're so right. You know, you could either make something great out of it, or you could let it take you down. And it's just great to be able to have the opportunity to have, like you said, you have your tribe behind you, you have a goal, a vision. And even if it's something small to get to, you know, for me, it was one of those things of like, okay, I need to get myself to Friday in order, let's just get through the week. Let's just get through the day. And there were days where it was just like, I just need to get through this 1 second and 1 second at a time. And that's how you're living life. And, you know, ultimately with time, you get through it and you find the mechanism in which you need in order to, like you say, boss up. So how can people find you?
Yeah. So 365 Daily Hustle, that's my business. If women who are career focused, who are mamas, who are coming from all walks of life, really, I help them reset, refocus, and readjust on what's most important. Because I realized through so many of situations in my own life, work-life balance is huge. It really is. Yes. And career-focused women have a hard time putting our cape away and saying we can't do it all. So 365dailyhustle.com. I also have, of course, very online in the social community. Facebook is great. I have an all women's empowerment page called the Self-Love Club, and it's all about, of course, empowering women. So many ways to get me, but honestly, if you want to find out about me as a coach, me as a person, me as a speaker, me as a podcaster, even this podcast will be on my website. So that's the place to go.
I love it. Absolutely love it. So thank you so much for spending time with us today. And I cannot wait for this book to come out in August. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure for sure.